Hello, I'm Marilyn Hemingway, and welcome to A Gathering Place. I said, I'm stepping back because we have young voices who want to be heard and they're moving on something.
Branding is really important to you and your business.
Even a basic type of technology, you learn it all.
And people are
Good question. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to A Gathering Place. And I'm excited today because I love reading. I love the library. I love books. So every time we bring on an author, I just love these episodes because I just want to get into the who, what, where, and why of why they're an author, why they wrote the books, because I just love books. And today our topic is the Melaninnials. And Reverend Jackie Williams will get me straight on that. Because believe me, we talked about it before the show, but this is a children's book and I'm excited to have her on. So let me welcome her on and let's get into the book. All right. Hey, Jackie, how are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. And thank you for coming on because, I love bringing on authors, especially our local authors, folks who, our neighbors who just stepped out and said, I'm going to write a book and with purpose. And I just love it. And I love it that it's directed towards children. So the very first thing, because I'm sure I probably pronounced it incorrectly, the Melaninnials.
You almost got it. Melaninnials. Melaninnials.
All right. I got to remember that. Innials. All right. Melaninnials. All right. I am excited to have you here. I'm excited to learn more about this book. And of course, we are the Gotta Geese Chamber. So we support our local authors up and down the coast of South Carolina. And it's always good to have someone come on. And so far, I think I'm hitting like one author a month. But this month, I think I'm going to have more than one. But but anyway, thanks for coming on. Can you hold up the book? Let's see the cover because I love the cover. It's very colorful, very inclusive and diverse. All right, there it is. And we're going to get into, I see the subtitle is Adventures of the West End Crew. So let's talk about the book. And y'all, my audience, viewing audience, listening audience, drop your questions in the comments section. Thank you for joining us today. And I'm going to put up the website where you can go to purchase this book, and that'll be flowing throughout the show because we want to purchase the book because it's a great book. But also we want to purchase it to support our authors. So Jackie, tell me about the book. Why did you decide to do this book?
Okay. First, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to do anything with you to start off with. Really, it is. That's true. You are one of my sheroes, so it's always
thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
I wanted to. I've been kind of wrestling with the idea of doing a book, and I had a couple of titles of books that titles that I wrote down in my journal of projects that I would like to do, but I just couldn't quite get the flow of it. And I think a lot of times with ministers, we have a tendency to place an expectation on ourselves based on what we think people want to see us do. So, it was like, okay, well, I'm a minister, I need to write something about the gospel or, something like that. And I wrote some titles down, but I just couldn't really get the flow of it because it's so exhaustive and couldn't quite get focus with that. And then I just said, Lord, I really want to do something impactful. And and then when the situation, when the tragedy, not situation, but when the tragedy happened with George Floyd, and prior to that, there were so many things happening in the news. Babies, brown babies being arrested, you know, 6-year-old, 7-year-old babies being placed in handcuffs and arrested for acting out in school, and just different things. And one particular situation really tore at me. And it was a young boy, I believe maybe about the age of 10, 11, who was playing in his grandmother's front yard. And the police came and basically put him in handcuffs, because there was something going on in the area. And of course, questions are never asked. It's just grab and put him in handcuffs. And the little boy urinated on himself just because he was so afraid of what was happening. And that really, that cut me. That cut me so deep, because because I'm sure that people realize that this stuff leaves imprints in children, and then those children become adults, and that imprint is still there. And so as a community at large, we have got to try to figure out how we can grab a hold of these children to help them see the value of who they are, so that we can try to do something with that particular type of energy, and help them recontextualize situations so that they become healthy adults. And and so after George Floyd, and just seeing everything that took place after that, I just said, I need to do something that's geared towards children, because that's the future. That is the future. And we have to take on the responsibility of helping our children to see themselves in a light that is positive and that is unapologetic. And so that's how the idea came about for the children's book.
I highly applaud you for that journey, because I all too often think about, and as a Black woman, how we are not given the opportunity to just have our childhoods, to just be children.
Right, right.
The perception is you're either in extreme poverty, you're in poverty, or you're going to head to prison. You're just not allowed to be a child and have all the adventures of being a child, and that the joy of being a child. Right. And because we are framed so much in a lens, through a lens of trauma, so I love that you thought about that and you decided to write this book. So let me ask you, so the book is what does the book reflect? Does the book reflect trauma, or does the book reflect the joy of childhood? Or, because kids are curious, kids have imaginations. Right. What does it reflect?
And I'm glad you used that word, because the book focuses on 3 particular areas, and that is creativity, imagination, and education. And it says it on the cover, and it says it throughout the book. So you have that repetitive nature in the book to help kids understand that you can use your imagination and you can be creative, and definitely you need to be educated. And past what you learn in school, the first thing you truly need to be educated on is your roots and your heritage, our roots and our heritage. Because to have to have children grow into healthy adults, they need to be grounded into they need to be grounded into their heritage and their roots. Our kids are not going to get that in school. We already know that. So for me, it is part of taking on the responsibility of helping them to navigate those waters. Now, when I say roots, here's the beautiful part about the book. It is a coloring activity book. I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to just author a book that tells a story. I wanted to author a book that helps children to find their place in the unfolding of a story that will ultimately lead to them finding their identity. That's the beauty of the adventures that take place in this book. And the book has, the story arc, which myself, along with the illustrator, whom I'm sure we're going to talk about, Miss Danny Whitehead, phenomenal 15-year-old African-American young lady from Georgia. Her father, Tony, awesome family. We kind of got together to create the story arc. And basically, the story arc is about children finding a book, which in Swahili, they learn a little Swahili and Gullah Geechee in the book. But, in Swahili, book is kitabu. So they learn some Swahili along the way. So they find this book on the playground, and it's a book full of travel and mystery. The person that owned the book was traveling, trying to exploring their heritage as a melanated person. And they took them on all of these journeys. And then the children enter into a magical portal, which they can use their creativity, imagination, and become educated on the journey that follows the path that of the person who actually lost the book. They're trying to return the book. And as they travel through the portal, they discover, they go to all of these different places around the world, and they discover more about the person. But along the way, they discover things about themselves. And the activities are geared towards helping parents and grandparents and aunties and uncles steer conversation with children to help unfold what they really know about themselves in their heritage, and then to navigate the waters of really teaching them about their heritage. Yeah. Utambushalo, which is identity in Swahili. So I learned a lot writing the book. I learned a lot, traveling with the book.
And you learned more words, more language, the imagination, the creativity. So let's start at the beginning where they were, because the subtitles is The Adventures of the West End. So you say they travel the world. So they start in the West End, then they travel the world. Okay, so everybody, so the West End is a part of the city of Georgetown, South Carolina. Jackie and I are both from Georgetown, South Carolina. So give us a little bit of the West End flavor.
Yes. This is a series of book, and this is volume 1. And so the two main characters are Danny and JP. And JP is in a wheelchair. It was very intentional for us to make one of the main characters, special. JP is special. He's in a wheelchair because we want to help parents and children who are dealing with any kind of disability, help them to steer and understand that your disability is a special ability, and so you don't have to be limited by that. So JP and Danny are in an urban setting, and they find the book, and then they go, oh wow, we definitely want to go on this adventure, but You think Aaron and Sam, who is Samantha, would like to come along. So their first trip through the portal brings them to Georgetown, South Carolina, on the West End. And I did that because, yeah, that's it. And I did that because definitely anything that I do in life until I leave here, it is there has to be a remembering of where you come from, and also to pay homage to that, because for me, I truly wouldn't be an author or wouldn't be able to do what I have done, whether it was in corporate or whatever, wherever I was at a point in my life, had it not been for the experiences that I had on the West End, growing up partially on the West End with my grandmother, Myrtle Gathers, and then in the country, which is midway the good way, as we say. So yeah, midway the good way. So I wanted to pay homage to that and what I learned as an extension of that. So it was like, the West End got to be in there, because in each book series, we want to tell a little bit more about the West End. And also we want to bring in actual people, writers and activists, such as yourself, to be a part of the storyline as we move along. People like Steve Williams, who is a great historian. The objective is to show people what we have in our community and then challenge them to take their children into their own community and find your local activists. Have your children talk to the local activists in your community or the local historian or what have you, because a part of learning who you are outside of the bigger picture is learning what history is right there in your own community.
That's right. And Georgetown is right with history and change maker. So that's very good.
Yeah. And then the other thing, when I was thinking about Georgetown, I was like, oh, this is going to be so good, because Maryland, now think about it. All of us have relatives that are from large cities up north somewhere or West Coast or what have you. So it has been a part of our upbringing where either we go visit them during the summer or they come down south. Right. And then when we come back to school, and I had somebody laughing the other day, and I was like, yeah, because every time you come back to school for another school year, all of your clothes came from New York.
That's right. That's right.
Where'd you get your clothes? All of your clothes.
That's so true.
From New York.
From New York. You got the latest fashions over the summer. Right. You were because you got your clothes from New York. Yeah.
Right. So I want adults to remember these things when they hear the stories, so that they can engage in conversation with their children and kind of tell them, oh yeah, when I was growing up, cousin so-and-so always used to come down, and these are the things we used to do back then. We used to shoot marbles and play kickball and dodgeball, because our children don't really know anything about shooting marbles. They're tech children, so it
a double dutch.
Yeah, it spurs a lot of conversation that can actually turn into activities that you can do with your children. Just like you said, double dutch. That's a great activity, especially if you're trying to, get some exercise in the middle of a pandemic, so forth and so on. If your children don't know anything about double dutch, that's a great family activity that you can do together with your kids. So, so it's a lot that's compiled in there. One of the things that I like is it helps you to discover things that, our kids are not going to be taught in school. I believe that the school system has like its top 10 African-American characters that they teach from pre-K to 12th grade. And that's all kids know are those particular characters. You know, we
Yeah.
introduce for instance, a group of African Americans that that come from one of the islands in Hawaii, the Popolo people. Children would never know anything about the Popolo people, but getting into this activity book, they'll learn about the Popolo people, which is a group of African American people from Hawaii that were never enslaved throughout their entire generations. Their ancestors were never enslaved. The book helps us to understand a little bit, about their culture and how their belief system has has transcended time and kind of etched into the innovation part of where we are today. So so we're excited.
Well, I'm excited for you because I think this book is timely because there is a growing thought, growing movement per se in education to recognize the local history, the local change makers, the local historians, history makers, because children can relate to that. If they can see it and feel it, they can imagine I can be it.
That's
And
it.
we've moved away, and I agree with you. They're like the top 6: Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks,
Right.
that they kind of go over, and we guarantee they're going to talk about it on Black History Month. But you can go community by community across this nation and find people who have done Black history, and Black history is American history. So our history has impacted. You cannot have American history, as much as they have tried to separate that in the last 400 years, without Black history.
Without Black history. Exactly.
To focus on our local change makers, our local history makers, that's a beautiful thing. So let's get into the actual characters, because you were telling me you have characters in the book, and each character has a poem. So I want you to pick a character and read their poem about that character.
All right. There are 8 characters in this book, and we wanted to make sure that the Melaninnials are your 21st century melanated children. So the characters in the coloring book are, they're dressed modern day. We intentionally left the hair transparent outline so that the kids can color the hair, because all of our hair is not Black. First thing. Okay. All of our hair is not Black.
It's true.
So we left it, so we left it transparent so they can use their own imagination or color it the color of their hair. And the characters have Afro puff, locks, braids, twists, and so this, let's see if you can see. This is one of the characters.
Is it Haley?
Haley. Yes.
All right. I love Haley's outfit. All right.
Haley is the adventurous girl.
Very good.
Haley is the adventurous girl. And her poem is Fearless Girl. And it reads, fearless girl, full of adventure, brave and confident, daring and bold. Bold is the color of my golden bronze skin, fierce like the rich, silky chestnut color of my shiny hair. The curl of my thick lips forms the words others dare to speak. Little fearless girl, dare to be creative and educated, using your imagination to dream beyond the stars. Sky's the limit, fearless girl, simply because you are who you are. So,
I love that. I mean, it really is. It's something that kids can relate to. Parents can read with their kids together, and it's such a positive. I'm a big proponent of just letting kids be kids and
Right.
letting them just express their imagination and let them think that life is an adventure, because all too soon, especially for our Black children, we because we have to give them a certain type of
Yes.
protection, they
Hmm.
lose that childhood all too soon. And we've
Right.
got to do things like this book to help that childhood last as long as possible. You know, we
Right.
joke about paying. I was joking with somebody, I think it was just yesterday, about being an adult and having to pay the bills and AARP. And you know, when you hit 13, you don't get the movie discount anymore. And I was like, I
Right.
was so happy to hit my 50s because I could get my AARP discount.
Exactly.
You need to write a book about that. AARP, you get
Yeah.
the discount. So
Yeah.
to stretch the childhood of our children out to where it naturally you become an adult, where you can
Hmm.
still just be a child and be adventurous and fearless, because children have no fear. You know, they just think
Exactly.
we can do. And to celebrate that is wonderful. And I love the fact that you don't color in the hair, because you are correct. Naturally, we have multitudes of color in our hair, and to
Right.
have the opportunity, just that's also gives our opportunity for our imagination to just open
Right.
up. Yeah, I love that.
Right. Yeah.
I love that.
To
Yeah.
be able to identify, and the each poem represents the different characters of the children, because they run the gamut. Hakeem is the cautious kid. He's the cautious kid, the one that likes science and chemistry and stuff like that. And his poem is "I'm cool with being me," because I took it in that direction, because a lot of times our children are forced almost to kind of dumb down who they are, because they have two components that's working against them. They have people that don't look like them, that I think sometimes try to intimidate them or make them feel like they're not smart. And then we have within our own community children that will try to make a child that's quote unquote the brainiac type of child feel as if it's something wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that's not cool. No, let me tell you what's not cool. What's not cool is you not getting your education. Now that ain't
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was not cool is you not pursuing your full potential, and thinking that getting F's somehow is a swag. That's not swag.
That's
That's
not
not
cool at
swag.
all.
That's not
Because
swag at all. That is not cool at
not
all.
cool at all.
And
Because even though I want y'all to enjoy y'all childhood and be children as long as possible, you cannot be a child at the age of 21 being in your mom and daddy house because you had the F's and can't get a job. So
that's not
being
cool. That ain't
being
cool.
being a child does not discount responsibility, and one of the responsibilities is getting your grades. And I often wonder about that, and I have these conversations with folks of what you just described, where those who speak English or get good grades, we are looked down upon, or you don't have that swag, or you're not black enough, or something like that.
Right.
And I don't
Right.
understand when black has been equated with less than, from our
Hmm.
point of view. Um,
Right.
when there should be black excellence is what we should be celebrating.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So in
And
these characters, that's what you're trying to portray by
right.
showing the different personalities, and that we're all accepted. It's inclusive.
Right.
We can accept all.
And yeah. And the thrust of this book is positive self-imaging for melanated children. That is the thrust of this book. Positive self-imaging for melanated kids, to
Well,
help them understand. That's why in each poem it has identifiers in there that will help parents to have the conversations that we all need to have with our children. It talks about, one character has locks, so it talks about locks. It identifies words that are used for our melanated skin, so we can stop. With, oh, your black self. The color of my deep chocolate skin is beautiful. Whether it's deep chocolate or bronze, chestnut, whatever it is beautiful. If it's
Copper, caramel. Yeah.
yeah,
I
caramel.
got you. I got you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And if my lips are thick, if my lips are thick, if my nose is wide, whatever it is, it is beautiful. And it will help, I love the characters because they help to just kids to have these great conversations, and the characters, I think, make children comfortable in having these conversations. Let me tell you, you will learn a lot just taking this book and sitting down and talking to the kids about the characters, because we've done it with our children. And the conversations that they will have, you'll find out things that are happening in their schools, conversations that they're having with other children. You'll find out things that grown people are telling them, stuff that they're watching on television that's imprinting in them. Why are you seeking to have long straight hair? What is that all about? What's going on? Why are you not happy with your kinky coils? And then it allows a comfortable setting for them to open up and express, and then an opportunity for us to tear down those negative things and help to build them up with the positive reinforcement. Because even though we are in different series, we're definitely going to tackle the issue of slavery. We also have to tackle the issue and the untold stories of who we were and who we still are today before slavery. Because we need to help our children understand that even though your heritage is a part of your heritage, as is to identify and to see people, to identify with folks that were enslaved. That is absolutely nothing for you to be ashamed of. That is something for you to be absolutely proud of, because if you can't see the pride in that, then people will hoodwink you into believing that is something, that you are a beaten people. And we're not. We're resilient, resourceful people.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. And so that's what this is all about. And it's shaken quite a few people. And I couldn't understand why they were so shaken, Marilyn. I was like, why are y'all
Really?
shaking? Little girl, the inbox. I've been called a fascist, a racist. Oh, my inbox is deep. Yes, ma'am. I've been called some things that have not been pretty, and
well, that
why
means
you
you
don't
must
have,
be doing
something right.
You must be
Why
doing something right. That a children's book that can be shared between parents and children can shake people up. Which I think everything is cyclical, but we hope that we don't have to fight these battles all the time, But
Right.
this is part of the arc of history. It bends towards
Right.
justice, and we all play a part in bending that arc a little bit more. And every time you try something new, every time you use your imagination to create something, you're going to have pushback. So that's a compliment that they're attacking you now. That's like, be careful, be safe. We use common sense. But yeah, the fact that they're attacking, you're doing something right. And you're doing something for our people. And when Black people move forward, everybody moves forward. And history speaks to that. History speaks to that. I know you have one character in the book who's in a wheelchair. So you're talking inclusion. And it speaks to, Black people when we love ourselves, we love all people. We don't ask for equity and equality because we want more than you. We ask for equity and equality because we love ourselves and we love you too.
Right,
And
exactly.
this is just part of that bigger picture of teaching our children to love the diversity of who we are. And
That's it.
diversity, variety, the many flavors.
Mhm.
As Miss Melody said, Spain Mucci said, we come in all flavors. I like all
Yes.
kind of flavors: strawberry,
And that's
vanilla,
it.
chocolate,
You
milk
know,
chocolate, dark chocolate.
exactly. And
So
we have to, and as long, and this is the part that I find incredibly, I think, kind of crazy about some of the conversations that people have left me in my DM, is the fact that as long as you have um institutions, learning institutions, schools, um where children, elementary kids, high school kids are being told, you can't participate in this sport because you have locks. You can't wrestle because you have locks. You have to cut your hair. You can't wear braids to work because that's against our policy. How is that against your policy? You know absolutely nothing about braids, nor do you probably know. I am safe, I'm sure, in assuming that you have done no historical research on the relevance of braids in our community, is it, as a part of our culture. But because it doesn't identify with your culture, then is something wrong with that. And so for me, it is a moral, cultural, and spiritual obligation to help children understand that you can be proud. You can be proud of your lips. You could be proud of your big eyes. You could be proud of your thick, kinky hair. You can be proud of it all. And do not allow anyone to make you feel like you have to change who you are or shrink back because they're uncomfortable with who you are. Because historically, nothing has ever happened in this country that that African Americans have contributed to that has been a detriment in this country. Anything that African Americans, from slavery on up to anything that we have creatively, scientifically, innovatively put our hands to in this country, enslaved, out of slavery, has never been, like you said, about us, and has always helped the collective whole.
It most certainly has.
Right.
It most
So
certainly has. And this book reflects that. And I've been putting the picture up, and you can see by the cover of the book the flavors, the variety, the diversity of everyone in that. So it's really a beautiful cover. I had to show it. It's a beautiful cover. So let me do this very quickly, a station break. I want to remind everyone that you're watching A Gathering Place, brought to you by the Gullah-Geechee Chamber of Commerce. And I'm your host, Marilyn Hemingway, with our special guest today, Reverend Jacqueline Williams, who's here to talk about her books, The Melaninnials. So I got it. So let's talk about the illustrator, 15-year-old illustrator. Then we're going to talk about the how to buy the book. I know we have at the bottom of the screen, y'all can go to passageproducts.com, and I'm actually there right now. So at the end of the show, I just need to enter my credit card number in so I can purchase a couple of the books. So y'all go to passageproducts.com and purchase this book. But let's talk about this 15-year-old illustrator who show a couple of the pictures really quickly from the book. And obviously, she is very talented. Very talented. And where is she located, the illustrator? Move it over the other way. There you go. There you go. Okay. Too cute. Too cute.
That's Danny.
And there she go. That's Danny. Yes, very good. That is Danny. Yep. Too cute. And this is a 15-year-old illustrator. 15. Very good. It just shows the personality of the characters. Love it. Love it. Love it. So we also want to support our young artists. and in
Yes,
their adventure of life. There she,
that's her.
oh, yes, 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 yes. There she
Danny.
is. There's
Danny.
Danny. Very
Danny is
good.
absolutely amazing. She is 15 years old. She started drawing when she was 11, and she has absolutely phenomenal parents, Tony and Kim Whitehead. And the Lord just brought us together, but she's from Georgia,
Okay.
and her illustrative work is just absolutely incredible. Her thought process, she is so professional at 15 years old. We are going to do a series of interviews with her. One we've already done that's actually on the Melaninnials page. You can watch her in the interview, and the kids actually interviewed her. But this girl is phenomenal. She knows her stuff. She knows how to put it together. She is very, very professional. One of the things that I love about it is it helps our children to understand that you do not have to be 25 and out there searching for a job. You can use your gifts and your talents. You can learn a talent such as illustration or whatever it is, and you can be 11, 15, and you can actually be out here earning income at that
Create
age.
your create your own job.
That's
I
right.
You might, we knew. See, you talk about God connected y'all, and they're in Georgia. Let me tell you, this week, everything you've talked about in this book, which is a children's book, as an adult, I can relate to just in this last week because of the movements and the calls and Zoom calls that I've been on.
Right.
And let me tell you, I have had 2 conversations this week talking about creating your own job.
Yes. Yeah.
And taking the skills that you have cultivated, the education, your experience, and don't wait for somebody to give you a job. Create your own job, your own business, and even if you work for someone else, you can create your own job. And what do I mean by that? Approach your job not as them doing you a favor, but approach your job that I'm bringing these skills, this experience, and this education to the table, and you need to pay me for it.
Yeah,
My
that's it.
first job out of college, I knew was just temporary. It was not a job I was going to stay in for 30, 40 years and retire from. But I saw a path for me, and I actually put a 1-page proposal together, went to the president of the company, sat down with him, and he said, convinced him to create this job for me. So when I say you can actually work for someone else and create a job within that context, look at where you work and see where the need is and be the solution to that need. That's
Exactly.
creating a job. Take your skills, take your experience, your creativity, create your own job. I'm so happy that you said that.
And I'm gonna tell you, and that's what she did. That is what she did. And she is the epitome of professional. She gives you a schedule, a timeline for, her production work, and she hits her deadlines. And if she needs a little extra time on something, she contacts you. Her parents don't do it for her. They're teaching her the art of business and how to have this gift and use it and make money. But you also have to know the business side so that you have the perfect storm going on here. You're firing on all cylinders.
Yeah,
And
the
so,
business of doing business. Oh my, this we said we were going to have a conversation because I love having conversations because it can go in all kind of directions.
Right.
This book is a life lesson. It celebrates children, but it also shows a path, just how this book came together, of creativity and how you can take that creativity and make a living from it, and a good living too, if you're consistent, professional, and you stick to it. You can do it. You can do it. Oh man, see how conversations go.
That's it. And and that's something that is something that we have got to really start imprinting in our children. We come out of generations of, and it wasn't bad, but we come out of generations where parents, growing up in the age range where we are, the parents' desire for you was to get your footing under you, go to school, do something in a specialized field, get you a good job, make sure it has good benefits, and that you could retire and be okay.
Date somebody, marry somebody, and provide them grandchildren, and do your retirement. And,
right.
And that's not. If that is your journey, if that's your journey, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. But all too often, a lot of us, that was our parents' desire for our journey rather than our journey.
Right.
And we're just offering another option. That you can be an entrepreneur, you can be a small business owner, you can be president, you could be vice president, you could be state senator, you could be, whoever you
want to be.
You could be whatever you want to be. You could be
whatever
a computer programmer. You can create an app.
That's it. And so in the 21st century, here we are in this present age, and it has to be about helping our children find their path and not boxing them in. If you don't want to do the 9-to-5 thing, that's fine. But let's find out what your path is and support that and try to get you on that track to do that. And a part of that is to open these children up to everything that is out there. My son is 17 years old. Aaron is 17 years old. When Aaron was 16, he works at Groucho's downtown. When Aaron last year, 15 turning 16. Early in his 16, in that age, in that time period, the owner of Groucho's started training my son to be a manager at that age, because he came to work and he showed responsibility, and so he was like, okay. So now Aaron is 17 years old. He knows how to open, he knows how to close, he knows how to do everything in between. And, he's learning that work ethic. But at 16, he also has a trade account. So, I day trade and I do long-term stock trading. So does he, and so he comes, he checks his statement, because it's a custodial account. He checks his statement. He knows where his money is being invested. He knows what's going on in the stock market. These are the things. And it's like, Aaron, you understand. And this is what we have to help our children understand. When my son goes to work, or when he gets on the computer and does virtual learning during the day, his money is making money for him. It all can't go to Nike. I
was talking to a young business owner, because the gotta get your chamber. That's what I do. I don't know everything, but if I don't know it, I'll go get you resources. But one of the persons called me about a week ago, and about either doing a business or a nonprofit. And I said, well, do both. Why can't you do both?
Right.
And I explained to them why. But one of the things I also told them is everything you create, you need to trademark.
Yes.
Because that's long term. And why? So people, why do you want to trademark? And I'm just using this as an example of how we learn. Continuing learning. So I'm going to give you this example, and I'll tell you why I do what I do. An example is, I said, if you trademark everything you create, that's long-term money, because at some point somebody may want to come and use your logo or use whatever you've trademarked. But guess what? They got to pay you.
They have to pay
you. So that's when your money, you might have to make an investment right now, but down the road, that's passive income. If somebody comes up or they want to use it and you can't use it, you got to pay me. They got to pay you. because you took the
Mhm.
time and you invested in money that you invested in getting it trademarked. And it's going back
Right.
to what you were saying, teaching these skills. Those are life skills. Those are soft skills that we need to teach each other. Not only our children, but the adults need to know too, because you don't want to send a child back into a home and it's
Yeah, the adult.
discouraged because the parents
Right.
don't understand either. So we
Mhm.
have to that's why I kept emphasizing your book. The children and parents can read together because it'll
Mhm.
spark your parents' imagination also. So let me tell you why I do what I do. One of the reasons I emphasize education and reaching out to resources with the chamber is I was blessed one to have a mother who was a librarian. So
Mhm.
hence my love of books. I grew up in libraries, but she also I come from a family of educators, academics, etc. And it was always, Marilyn, continue your education.
Mhm.
Even after college, whether it's a graduate degree that you want or taking community courses,
Right.
workshops, seminars, webinars now, they call them webinars now.
Right.
Anything that you can take that
Mhm.
stretches your mind,
Yes.
that shows you a different way, that shows you how to do something differently or to polish what you already know even more.
Woo,
My
what you
mother
talking?
emphasized to me, he always stay educated, always continue learning. Even
That's it.
as adults, we have to do that because it only one helps you, it makes you more valuable, but in the workspace,
That's
but
right.
it also
That's it.
expands your world. And so
Mhm.
your journey in the book that you have, where they're on this journey around the world, you're you're going on
Man.
that journey with them. You know.
Exactly.
Mhm,
Exactly.
mhm.
Um, and Tony, Danny's father, introduced the Popolo people. And so I was like, the Popolo people. And so then I took my nosy self and I want to learn. I want to
About
know
the
about
Popolo people.
people. I want to know about the Popolo people because it makes you feel kind of good. Like I just learned, I just learned something else.
Mhm.
And when I was in corporate, prior to prior to me landing the contract that I landed, I was sitting down and I was in Barnes and Nobles one day and I was just reading some books and I came across something on my phone that said, if you read one book a month for 5 years in your chosen field, in 5 years you would be amongst in the top 25% um, as an expert in your field. Well, of course, I was like, one book is not good enough. I need to do it in half that time. And I need to do it in half that time. And it was great because it challenged me. It challenged me to really stretch myself, and it prepared me when I actually landed my contract in corporate. I was prepared, and I sat there with people who were, CEOs and CFOs from, Lloyd's of London. They came in from England, and some people came in from Switzerland. And these folks had, you know, all of the business degrees and every alphabet behind their name. And I sat there and was able to land my contract and go with them toe to toe, not because I went to the Ivy League school that they went to, but because I got the value of putting my head in the book and getting the information because it's so accessible now, and being able to take that and bring it to the table and be able to match wits. Look here, baby, I didn't go to Princeton, but I'm with you. I'm with you.
If
We
you
good because
if
I'm with
you
you.
can read, if you can read, you can do anything.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
reading opens up the world to you. Because if you don't know it, you can read about it, and it's not
Yeah.
just books. You said there's so much available to us now, access to, because the internet. Now, I qualify the internet. You have to be discerning and use
Right.
multiple resources and use. There are very legitimate things on the internet. All right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Time Magazine, Newsweek,
Yeah.
USA Today. But what you do is you don't just rely on one resource. You read multiple articles and stuff about the same subject. That's how you research and that's how you learn.
That's it.
A lot of people have issues these days because they get caught up in this tunnel vision of getting their news from one resource, getting their
One source.
research information from one source, and that one source
Right.
is not always right. And a lot of them these days are totally wrong. But if
Right.
you're going to be an educated person, and you don't have to have a degree to be an educated person. Now, I do recommend a degree. Don't get me wrong, because that's a totally different thing. But
Yes.
everybody can go get that degree. But if you don't have time, you can still read. Even if you take 15 minutes a day and read an article in a magazine.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You can
travel. You can travel to every continent through a book. I mean, through a book. It's you can sit in your home and literally travel around the world and immerse yourself in cultures and and roots and music and art and entertainment and science and technology without even leaving your home, just picking up a book and just allowing your imagination and your creativity to take you
forward. Take you forward. Thank you, Jackie. And this is why what you've done is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful book. I look forward to my order coming in. Once I place it, I have to add it to my library because I have a lot of books. I'm reading. I read 2, 3, 4 at a time. I'll read like a chapter one here, so I'm a little bit all over the place. So believe me, I'm ordering the book. So let's wrap this up with telling folks how to order the book. And down below we have the website, passageproducts.com, but we also have your phone number. Are you open to going and over Zoom, because we have to do it safely these days, but meeting with groups to talk about your book if we want you to come and talk? All right. So the number I have for Miss Reverend Williams, Jacqueline Williams, 843-593-2688, or email passagepgns@gmail.com. So y'all write those down if you want to get in touch with her and she'll come talk to your group. And wonderful conversation. I mean, this went around the world.
Flew by. Yeah, really. Time just flew by.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was an interview at all. I just felt like it was, two people who have known each other forever, just hooking up and having a conversation about a book. And the only thing that was missing was just a really nice glass of wine.
I know, right? We'll have to do that next time, girl. I finished I had a little bit in the bottle Friday night, so I got to go open another bottle. But I finished that Friday night. Yeah, my cat is in front of my TV right now, watching Puppy Bowl. I'm looking like, okay, what is my cat doing over there? But yeah, next time we gonna have to have the wine. This is the next book we gonna have some wine. So y'all call Jackie, invite her to your group. And you can purchase the book at passageproducts.com. I'm starting to lose my voice. But, Jackie, any last words for us?
Go to passageproducts.com and just click on the kids page in our online store, and the book will pull right up. This book is definitely a collector's item. It is one that any person that likes books, this is a great book for your collection. It's unique because it's a coloring activity book, and it has activities about Georgetown, and different components. And so it's a really, really great book. And I've had a lot of adults ordering the books for themselves. So I'm excited about that. But just grab the book and and support. And we are truly humbled and appreciative for everybody that will do so. And please spread the word. Spread the
Oh, we
word.
will. We're going to get the word out
Yeah.
on our Facebook page. Excuse me. I'm glad you came on. And I really am losing my voice.
You
You
need
know,
to rest.
we have I know, right? Talking a little bit too much. Too many meetings. PassageProducts.com. It will come right up. Go to kids section because I'm looking at it right now. It pops right up when you go to the kids section. And I'll call Jackie and ask her to come speak to your group because we also have to support our local authors also. Love it, Jackie. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll see you next time.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And y'all, we are so excited to have Jackie Williams with us to discuss her book, A Great Time. And I am losing my voice, but before I go, I want to remind everyone to wash your hands, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth, avoid crowded places, and put space between yourself and others. Cough or sneeze into your bent elbow or a tissue. And if you have a fever, cough, or difficulty breathing, seek care early. We still must protect ourselves against COVID-19. It is here. The numbers are decreasing because people are wearing their masks more. So please continue wearing your mask. And also, get a vaccine. As soon as you get notice that you are in line to get a vaccine, please go and make your appointment and get your vaccine. We want to see you when we get together again. We want to make sure that no one is missing. Thank you for joining us today. And let me remind you, a gathering place every Wednesday and Sunday at 4:00. Wonderful show today. And thank you everybody for joining us. Have a wonderful day and we'll see you next time.